Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another great edition of my Grue Rume Show. For the Grue Rume Show today, I got a very awesome guest. He's an actor, and he starred in the movie The Blue Lagoon, and he was also part of the hit TV series called Dallas. And I'm talking about Christopher Atkins, and I'm really looking forward to talking to him about the Blue Lagoon, about Dallas. He's been in a couple horror films, so we're going to talk about that as well. It's going to be a fun time. So, everyone, this is going to be great. I am Rocco Cross. I am the host of Stutters. I am the host of the Grue Rume Show. And my interview, Chris, will be coming up very soon. This is my Grue Rume, and as always, my gruelings. Welcome to my nightmares. So, stay tuned. All right, buddy. Welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much. This is awesome.
Thank you. The first thing I want to start out asking you, I see before you even started doing like film and television and stuff, you played sports and modeled too. And what kind of sports did you play?
Well, my love was baseball. That was my number one. I My dream was to play pro baseball. So I'll tell you a quick story. Well, it's not that quick, but I'm gonna tell you the story. So my son, he was a really good ball player. I mean, he's on the California state record list and all kinds of stuff. I mean, he was a good ball player. But when he was 12, a buddy of mine acquired the area code games. And the area code games are the number one high school baseball showcase in the United States. And all the top high school athletes all come to play. And he said, "Oh, come and check it out and bring your son because someday he'll be playing with us." And I went, "Okay, cool." Anyway, I find him up in the booth, and he's with these two guys, and one guy is Craig Wallenbrook, who it turns out he was a hitting coach for the Dodgers now, and then the other one is this Don Slott, and Don supposedly I think was a catcher for the Padres for years and years or something. I didn't know either of
Okay.
them, never met them, don't know. I never really followed baseball. I just loved playing it.
Yeah.
So Craig turns to me and he goes, "Blue Lagoon, right?" And I go, "Yeah, yeah, no."
Yeah. Yeah.
And he goes, my girlfriend made me go see that movie of yours years ago. He said, "I'm sleeping through your movie." He said, "and all of a sudden I see you hitting these rocks with a stick in the movie." And he goes, "I sat up, I hit my girlfriend and said, 'Hey man, that kid can hit.'" And I went,
Oh
"Oh
my
my
God,
God."
really?
Yeah, this is the hitting coach, right? And I go, "Yeah, well, and he goes, 'You're a lefty.'" And I'm thinking, well, it shows lefty in the movie. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty obvious. And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "East Coast." And I looked at him. I went, "Wait a second." I said, "Yeah, I'm from Rye, New York. That's where I grew up." And he goes, "You had bad knees." And I went, "What?" And I had sweats on. I pulled the sweats up and I showed this big scar I've got,
Yeah.
surgical scar, because I had them before arthroscopies. So I had this big scar going on. And I said, "How did you know?" And he goes, "Do you know the Phillies were going to draft you?" And I turned to my
Oh
son.
my
I said,
God.
I said, "I told you I knew what I was talking about," because, dads and sons. So yeah, so I thought, oh, well, I can die a happy guy. And he said, "No, the Phillies national cross checker." He said, "Thought you were the best natural left-handed hitter on the East Coast, and I'll take that to my grave." I say, "Okay, well, I'll deal with that." So that was my big baseball story, and I had all these knee operations that took me right out of baseball. I ended up, I was teaching sailing to little kids in Rye, New York here, and one of the mothers of the little kids took pictures of me and sent me into a modeling agency that her family were in, just some little thing. And I was like, "I don't want to do that." And all of a sudden, the guy has two jobs for me, and I went, "Well, I don't know what to do." And the next thing I know is I'm carrying a Smith Corona typewriter in and out of a door, and they're taking pictures of me as I'm a college kid going off to college with a new Smith Corona typewriter. I
Oh,
know
okay.
I'm dating myself, but yes, it was a typewriter, not a computer. And for those watching this show, there is such a thing called a typewriter.
I know, I know. Like I was still around when that was big yet. I,
Oh God, that was going off to college with a typewriter. Anyway, I made more money walking in and out of that door than I did all summer teaching sailing. I thought, "Man, this isn't so bad." And the next thing I know is I ended up in the Ford modeling agency, and yeah, so I modeled. And the very first job I did modeling was with J.C. Penney with Lori
J.C.
Loughlin.
Penney, yes, I remember that store. Yeah.
Lori Loughlin. Remember Lori Loughlin? Full House Lori Loughlin?
Yes.
College in trouble Lori Loughlin when she was 12 years old. That was my first job. And then I went off to Puerto Rico with Phoebe Cates and Lisa Ann Falk and Lori and all of these. I was the only guy with these five girls, and it was insane. So that was all of us back in New York, man. It was
Oh,
fun.
wow.
Yeah.
And the Blue Lagoon, was that like your actual first role that you ever did for like film?
Yeah, well, I did a commercial just before that, and it was, I mean, like I said, I never in a million years ever thought I'd be an actor. I mean, the last thing I ever thought of. I was going to go, my whole family are doctors. My sister's a PhD in cellular biology up at Yale here, and my brother's an emergency room specialist in ultrasound emergency
Oh,
medicine.
wow.
Now he's a concierge doctor in New York City with all the freaking billionaires and all those guys. And I'm like, yeah. Do they know you're a quack? Anyway, that's family stuff. So I wanted to go into sports medicine. That was just after all the knee operations and everything. I still wanted to keep it in that. And next thing I know is I'm modeling. I auditioned for this commercial. I got the commercial. It was a Gene commercial, and I thought, oh, this is really cool. But I also, when I auditioned for Blue Lagoon, I was one of 4,000 kids who auditioned for that movie.
4,000.
4,000 kids auditioned for that movie. I mean, I saw tape. The director, we're still really good friends and everything, but he had, years ago showed me the tape of all of these swimming pools with kids lined up swimming, and he's looking at all these. I mean, just insane. So I just kept getting called back, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I just kept doing it. And then I always thought, well, this will be really cool because when the movie comes out, I can take all my buddies and I'll go, yeah, 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 I went in for that. I read those lines and the whole
Right,
thing,
right.
that kind of, yeah, hey, you'd think that would be cool. But never in a million years did I ever think that I was going to get the movie. And then I did. And then I said, no.
Wow, that's crazy. And that was the movie that started everything. Like, that was the movie you got known for.
Yeah, well, it certainly went through the roof, but I didn't expect that. And like I said, I said no to him because there's only two people in the entire movie, me and Brooke. And
Yeah.
I said, I don't want millions of dollars on my shoulders. I don't know what I'm doing. And I actually was late for I was I was on the Ford softball team, so I was late to catch a train to go into New York City to play in a game. And I said, look, I can't talk to you right now. I don't want to do it. It's, and they were like, no, 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 no. We wouldn't have picked you if we didn't think you could do it. And I went, so I had a long talk with mom about it and the whole thing. And I was 18. And the next thing you know, she said, yeah, you don't ever have to do it again if you don't want to. And so
True.
the next thing I did was I went out there and I was 4.5 months on literally a deserted island, sleeping in a tent for 4.5 months.
Oh my God.
No
Four
movie was
four
ever
months?
shot. Yeah, 4.5 months. No movie was ever shot like that. No movie will ever be shot like that ever again.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Actually, the crew found water on the island. There was no the guy who owned the island. If you ever watch the movie again, in the very beginning of the movie, the boat blows up and everybody's
Yeah,
trying to get off the boat and everything. Well,
yeah.
this guy in this striped black and white striped shirt and a little goatee. He's one of the crew, he's wearing a sailor kind of shirt and he's trying to get into the lifeboat with the captain. And the captain goes, no, 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 there's no more room. And he pulls the cord and the lifeboat drops in the water. Well, the guy that they leave on the burning boat to blow up was the owner of the island.
Really?
Yeah, I think they did it purposely.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
I know, it's too funny. All those little behind the scenes stories. But anyway, so yeah, there was nothing on this island. Now it's a 5-star resort. I mean,
Oh, get it out.
oh yeah, they capitalized on it. It's a beautiful, beautiful. I mean,
Wow.
everybody who's somebody now has been to that resort. And there's only 15 people. It's only a 15-room resort. I mean, but it's well done. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I
Wow.
know. I know.
But that's crazy. 4.5 months you had to like shoot scenes there and live there and eat and drink there and
Yeah, it was
basically like the
It was
only other the actor was Brooke, and you two probably bonded because you're there for all that time.
yeah. Well, I mean, we were the closest in age to each other, so we walk down the beach and pick up shells and do things and make things or whatever. And yeah. I mean, I don't know really how we kept busy, but we kept busy. And the underwater team, Ron and Valerie Taylor, who shot they shot Jaws and they Blue Water, White Death. I mean, a lot of amazing shark stuff, and they did all the underwater footage of the movie. And I hung out with them a lot while they were there and did a lot of diving with them because that was one of
Oh,
the other
nice.
things why I think I got picked was because I was a scuba diver. I always
Oh,
wanted to scuba dive, and so at 16 I had a scuba license, so I knew how I was familiar with the water.
oh, wow. And like when you get picked for this role and you're reading the script for the first time, you're looking at your character, Richard, like I mean basically like the character is naked a lot in the movie. Like were you nervous going in? Like this is like your big first film role and were you nervous like that you like most of the movie like you don't have clothes?
Yeah, no, that's true, and it's funny because thinking about it now, I think because I wasn't nervous is probably because I didn't know what I was doing. I could care less, and I knew they weren't going to pick me. Is why they pick you, right? And it wasn't until years later, and even probably now, I get nervous, and I think that's probably a downfall because I know too much now. That kind of a thing. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, there was a lot of that. We had a lot of discussions about it and the whole thing ahead of time. And the number one commitment, I should say, was that there was no gratuitous because back in the
Mhm.
80s, everything was gratuitous, and that's how they sold everything. That's if you
Oh
remember.
yeah, of course.
So the 80s were all gratuitous, and this one wasn't. He was really, really the director was really adamant about wanting it to be natural love to the point where he put Brooke's picture. When I first got there, I had to live on a boat for 2 weeks and then shuttle across the reef back and forth to the island until they
Oh
had
my God.
a tent for me. And he put her picture up over my bunk so I'd have to look at her every day because he wanted me to fall in love with her and so it would show on camera and the whole thing. Yeah, it's
Wow.
pretty wild. I had no idea about all this stuff, but this is what this is what
Oh
went
my God.
down.
Wow. Was
So anyway, to answer your question, I apologize. So yeah, I'm not ducking it. To answer your question, we talked about it a lot in the whole thing, and I don't know why or what, but I didn't really give a damn. I figured, you know what, I'll deal with it when the time comes. And what was great about it was the crew was all Australian. Now back then in the 80s, all Europe and Australia and everything were all topless beaches. There was no, they had no problems with all of that. So
okay, okay.
on the island, the women of the crew and everything were all walking around topless, and it just became very normal. So with that young Australian hip crew, and it was just us on this island, there weren't tourists or visitors or
True.
other paparazzi, whatever that may be, trying to get pictures and things like that. There wasn't any of that. So it was nice. I mean, to the point now where I can't stand going to a beach with my clothes on. You get used to it. 4.5 months of running around naked, all of a sudden it's like, why am I wearing clothes?
I know, right? Exactly.
Too funny.
And from the movie, you then landed an amazing role on the hit television show Dallas. And how did that all come about for being on Dallas?
Well, that was really interesting because after Blue Lagoon, Columbia Pictures put me on a contract, a 4-year contract. And it was the first time since the old MGM days that an actor had been put under a studio contract, and they made a big deal about it back then and all that. And so I was working for Columbia Pictures and never did another movie for Columbia Pictures though. So I'm just sitting there waiting for another movie. And I think that what they did was they did it for holding me for Blue Lagoon 2, which didn't happen. I mean, not with Brooke and I.
Yeah.
But 20th Century bought me out and I did the pirate movie and A Night in Heaven with 20th Century. And then the interesting thing about Dallas was Dallas came about and Dallas was a massive, massive, massive hit
Oh, I
worldwide,
know.
if you remember.
Yeah.
And my manager just got creamed for putting me in a TV show because I was a movie star. So back then, movie stars didn't do TV. Now they do
Oh,
commercials and everything else, but they didn't
yeah.
do it back then. And it was sort of a big no-no. So that was kind of
Real.
interesting. So yeah, so I did Dallas, and I'll tell you, it was one of the greatest moves I think my manager ever did was put me into Dallas because I'm still, for instance, if you go, I'm going to pitch it here. If you go to southforkexperience.com, there is a reunion August 8th through 10th in South Fork, and you can buy tickets, and we'll all be there to meet and greet and talk about the show and all of that. We did it last year, and it was a huge success. People flew in from all over the world. It was, I
Oh
mean,
my
South
God.
Africa and Ireland and all kinds of places. So, yeah, southforkexperience.com. Go check it out and you know, come see us. But that's how big that was, and my role with Linda turned out to be so controversial that, and I was only on there for a season. I was supposed to do 2 seasons, but what happened was I was going to do a play on Broadway with Gina Lollobrigida, but the producer died and it all fell apart. And that's why
Okay.
usually you sign for more than 1 year for that. But I got away with signing just for 1 year. But even that 1 year, they still invite me back and they treat me like I'm one of the cast that's been on that show for years and years and years. I mean, they are the
Wow.
greatest, nicest people you will ever meet in your life is the cast of Dallas. They are so much fun. So, I mean, anybody who's watching this and you are a Dallas fan, I seriously say look it up and check it out because it's definitely well worth it. It's a wonderful weekend. They put a lot together.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. And like what was it like on set, like actually like bonding and hanging out with the cast of Dallas, like after like the scenes are shot?
Well, they were all like old hippies, man. They were crazy. They were always picking on each other. They're always doing practical jokes. And for instance, is what my favorite practical joke was my first kissing scene with Linda Gray, which was the
Yes.
big culmination, the whole big deal of this show. Everybody, all the cast are all standing out and watching, and I'm thinking, why are they watching? Usually everybody goes home. And we go and we do our big kiss, and she says, "So how was it?" And I said, "Well," to myself, I'm thinking, well, what am I going to say to that? It sucked. Let's do it again. I mean, that's a weird question. And I go, yeah, yeah. And all of a sudden, my lips go completely numb. And she had taken that stuff that you put on the dentist puts on your gums to numb it before they give you the injection, procaine or whatever it is. And she put it all over her lips. And I put a couple of bits.
Oh
What
no.
did you do? And ha, 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 ha. So yeah, it was a that's the way they were. They were just a lot of fun and they're nuts. They're just nuts. But it's one of those shows of the 100 movies and television that I've done over the years. There's only a handful. Blue Lagoon, the pirate movie, and Dallas are really the only three that when people meet again from being on those
Hmm.
shows, it's just all old home week. It's wonderful. And that's really special.
Like what do you think like during your time on the show on Dallas, what do you think was something a scene that stood out most like for you?
You think I have do you know how old I am? And do you know how long ago that was? You think I got a memory for all of this stuff?
Yeah,
The
that's true.
this this scene Well, I mean, the kissing scene obviously was the big one. As a matter of fact, I was in the Bahamas at a casino, walking through this casino at this hotel, and you can tell when people are staring and stuff. You know, you get used to that kind of thing. And this one lady, man, I could just feel her. And I look over, and she's just eyeball this old lady. And then she comes darting straight up to me, and she just goes, "You're too young for her." I was like, okay, I know. She's the first cougar.
Oh my
There
God.
was a lot of really fun scenes. I mean, there was a lot. The fight scene with Jr. and everything, and the oil barons ball and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, they had a lot of really.
Oh yeah.
There were a lot of really fun, a lot of fun scenes. A lot of fun scenes, but I'll never forget when I met Larry Hagman the first time, and I was an I Dream of Jeannie
Yeah.
fan and all of
Yeah.
those, and I worked with her on a show with William Shatner too, Dead Man's Island. That was another fun one, and
Oh,
everybody was
mhm.
in that. Oh God, that was a good movie, a fun movie, a TV movie. Anyway, so I go into the studio when I first got on Dallas, and I'm going into the soundstage to do photos. They need all the pictures and stuff, and I got 50 pounds of clothes carrying with me. And here comes Larry Hagman down the hall, and he comes right up to me, grabs the clothes off my shoulder, and says, "Welcome, welcome. Let me take you to your dressing room." And I was like, "That's Larry Hagman carrying my clothes. That's 50 pounds of clothes, and he's carrying them for me." And that's the way he was. And that was my welcome. Yeah, and I was kind of nervous about meeting Larry, thinking that he was going to be this grouchy old guy or whatever,
Yeah.
and because he's a superstar, that one
Well,
of those kind of guys.
exactly.
He was awesome. He was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Those were the good old days. I got to tell you, those are really fun, good old days. Yeah.
I know. I remember when I was a kid, like the big thing was the who was the one that shot him.
Yeah. I was in Africa, I think, doing some promotion or publicity in Africa, and we couldn't find a restaurant open anywhere. And we found one restaurant that was open and nobody was in it. And we look and everybody's surrounding the TV in the kitchen because we're trying to go, hey, can we get something like this? And I had no idea what was going on. And it was all because who shot JR? It
Yeah.
was absolutely worldwide
No,
insane. The
it was
streets were
crazy.
empty, empty. It was, wow.
And I
No,
saw
just
you. I saw you also did some voiceover work. Like Aladdin was one of them. And how do you find like the right voice to use like when you're doing like a voiceover work for like animation?
well, that's a good question because when they hired me more for that, it was for me. To do characters was a whole different thing. So, for instance, I was in a voiceover agency for 7 years and
Oh,
never
wow.
got a job, never got a voiceover. So it's a very good question, but you make up what you think the character might be, and then the directors or whoever is there that are trying to have some idea, or you spark something in them, they may tweak it here and there a little bit, however it goes. But yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, I would love to do more of that stuff and create more characters, but they
Yeah,
basically hired me because of my name at that point in time.
gotcha, gotcha. And I'm a big horror movie guy, and I saw you did like a couple horror films, the Shock, Shock, Shockman, and Dracula Rising, and the Legend of the Jersey Devil. And what's it like shooting horror? Like is it fun doing horror films?
Boy, that's such a loaded question because some of these horror films are so low budget. So, for instance, I had no idea what I was getting into with that Jersey Devil one, and I wouldn't. It's so bad. I wouldn't let my dog watch it, and I don't even
Oh
have a
no.
dog. That
Oh
it's that kind
no.
of a thing. It just and it always amazes me how people can raise money and the people putting the money up read this and say, "Oh yeah." It doesn't. I don't know. I did one movie in Malaysia that was a horror type film, and this buddy of mine who was an Indian director, they wanted me to do it, and I read this. I said, "Well, give me a script." I read the script, and there's only 58 pages, and I said, "There's 58 pages. Where's the rest of the script?" He says, "No, that's it. That's it." He said, "Just take their money and go make the movie." And I said, "Well, man, I just feel bad for the guy who's putting up $2 million+ to make this movie, and half of it's not here." And he goes, "Don't
Oh
worry
my
about it.
goodness.
That's not your job. They want you in the movie." And I said, "All right, I've always wanted to go to Malaysia. I like traveling at that point in time." So anyway, so I went and I did the movie. And after this, I said to my buddy, I go, "So whatever happened with the rest of the script? He goes, 20 minutes of driving shots. And
No, are
this
you
is,
serious?
yeah. But the thing about horror, okay. And so for instance, I'll tell you in a second, but the thing about horror is, so in my life now, what I want to do is make my own films. So
Okay.
I've done everybody else's film for 40 plus years, but at my age and where I'm at now, I know so many really good people in the industry, filmmakers. I understand demographics, and I
Hmm.
want to make films that people will want to go see. Now, everybody's got a script, everybody's got a film under their arm, but the
Yeah,
number
yeah.
one thing you have to do is, the first question is, who's my audience? So if I look at a pie chart and the demographics of a pie chart, you got action, you've got love stories, and on the pie chart, it has, so for instance, horror might be this on the pie chart. But the thing with horror is, somebody will go to a horror movie and say, come back to their friends and say, "Oh my God, that was the worst piece of crap I have ever seen in my life. You have got to see it." That's the horror audience. They love that. And
I
I
know.
kind of
I
I
know.
kind of dig it too. It's so bad that it's good.
Yeah.
If you have that sort of mentality. So anyway, so the point is that that's what you have to understand. So when you're doing horror, so for instance, I have a horror film. I wrote this film a long time ago, and it was just before the strike. They had Anthony Hopkins attached to it to play the role, and I was going to direct it, and this was finally going to get my film off the ground. And it's set up so that it can be franchisable, because that's always the best for horrors. You get a second and a third and all that.
Well, yeah, of
And,
course.
and then a producer came out of New York later and had connections with Netflix or something, and said that they
Oh
thought
my
this would
God.
be really good for Netflix. So anyway, but then she disappeared, and then the strike hit, and that all
Mm.
fell apart. So now I'm, back to square one, looking for the money again, because I don't want to go through the studios. I don't want to deal with all that, and I've got three really, well, actually four, but really good movies. I mean, good movies. And I'm not saying that because they're my movies. I'm saying that because I'm literally put my business hat on and say, look, the demographics say that this will work in this area, and this is why, and all of that. So there's connectors to show how this works. A lot of people just say, "I've got this great movie. Do you
Well,
want
yeah,
to?"
of course.
And then that's where it goes. So, I got the package, I got everything, I got the good people, and one of my partners is a senior VP at MGM, and
Oh, wow. Okay.
we don't want to do, and it's a beautiful film. It's never been shot on film before. It's just an awesome a coming of age picture. It's just really beautiful film. So anyway, so yeah, that's where I'm at right now, and that's what my main focus is. Although I still love acting and I want to keep acting,
Yeah.
and I always say that the only reason why I don't have a series right now is because I'm not an alcoholic and I don't have a sex tape. But if I had those two things, now Blue Lagoon was close to the sex tape, but if I had those two things now, I'd have a series.
You know, you're Probably right. Like it's crazy. Like those
I
are the
know.
things that people look for now. It's bonkers.
I know it is. It's funny.
When you aren't doing films and writing films, like what do you like doing during your free time?
Well, that's another good question. There's a lot of things I love doing. One, I love being a grandpa. So, for instance, I got a text the other day from my son, and he said, "I hate you so much" on the text. And I called my daughter and I said, "Well, it looks like my grandson got the fart spray I sent him." And he did. And they had to open all the doors and windows. And
Oh my God.
so it's great being a grandpa. So, but no, I love, I've always been that kind of guy that loves tinkering. So I'll tear my car apart. I'll redo the brakes. I just put a whole new air conditioning compressor in and all this kind of stuff. I love woodworking. So right now I've been making bowls and vases and all kinds of things, woodworking wise. And I always post those, for instance, on Instagram, and people buy them all the time, and it's really fun because I enjoy making them and selling them.
Oh wow.
And then I'm a fishing fool. So
Nice.
I'm right here in Connecticut, right next to Long Island Sound. It's I can throw a rock and almost hit it, and I go out there all the time, or I go to the lakes or the streams and just get out in nature. And that's the other thing. This year, my bucket list goal this year is one leg of the Appalachian Trail. And so if I can push it enough and take the time enough, I want to do Connecticut. So start in Massachusetts and maybe come down through Connecticut on the Appalachian Trail. It's like a week.
Wow, that sounds fun though.
Yeah, are you kidding? I love getting outdoors and
Yeah,
so
definitely. And what about songs? Like what kind of music do you like? What's on your playlist?
yeah, the playlist is all good old 80s and 70s rock and roll. You can't beat that stuff. Are
Of
you kidding?
course,
Now, it
of
was
course.
funny because Olivia Newton-John was a really, really dear friend. It was my son's stepmother. I mean, godmother, as a matter of fact. We were all really good friends.
Oh wow.
And so when her passing was very sad to see her go, but she was just a delight. And a lot of those that kind of music back then was always the Buggles, the Cars, and then the 70s Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and
Nice,
Aerosmith and all, the
nice.
Rolling Stones and even the Beatles, all the oldies. You can't beat that stuff.
And what do you think would be your go-to karaoke song if you were gonna do it?
It's too funny because I have a gold album from the Pirate movie, from the song I sang in the Pirate movie. It went gold in Australia. And so every time there's a happy birthday, let's say for my son or something, and or my daughter, and we'll sing happy birthday, and I go to him, I go, "Hey, I got a gold album." And they're like, "Dad, no, 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 no. Thank God for machines, Dad. Auto tune, Dad. I got a gold album."
Yeah, yeah, you got a gold album.
I got a gold album, and I do have a gold album from the "How Can I Live Without Her." So that was kind of cool.
I
That's
love
what I'm
it.
saying. I've touched a lot of bases in the industry. If you look at it from westerns to horror to outer space, all of that, love stories, all that kind of stuff. I just haven't made my own. And like I
Hmm.
said, I've written some and they've gotten produced and they just tear it apart and change it and I just want to give me a shot. I'm a filmmaker for 40 years. It's my turn
Yeah.
to show the world I can make a good damn movie. So that's where I'm at as far as that goes.
Okay, okay. And like I said, I'm a huge horror guy, and I always ask my guests this: are there any horror films that you like to watch?
Wow. Yeah, there's just a lot of them that are uh man, I'm just escape. There's horror and sci-fi. Some of the old the Wolfman and I mean, Hollywood was built on Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and
Yes,
Dracula.
yes.
So even young Frankenstein is, even though it's not really a horror, those pictures. That's what Hollywood was built on. That stuff. And that's being in when I was so excited to do Dracula Rising, and we shot that in Bulgaria, and I was so excited to do it because of I wanted to do a horror film and play a Dracula, because to me that was part of the icon of what Hollywood was all about. I mean, if you
Mhm.
do that, and if you get on The Simpsons, then you've made it. And I haven't gotten on The Simpsons yet, but then you've made it. And so I was really excited to do that. And then that guy was a runaway director, and that was a mess. And I got there, and it was a whole different script than what they had sent me. And anyway,
Oh no.
yeah, that's the kind of thing you have to deal with. So you just go, and I try to just do my job. I mean, I fought that thing to the point where I even said, "Look, there's no ending to this movie. There's no end. You guys have changed it some. There's no ending. You're going to be shooting this in L.A. I'm telling you right now." And I had another film I had to go back and do, and we were already over. I was already late, and they said, "No, no, no, no. We're going to shoot this ending." And so I went, "Okay, I'll stay to do it," but I'm literally on a plane, off the plane, into fittings, and then shooting the next day. That's how tight it was. And
Oh my God.
From Bulgaria to America, now time difference. I mean, that's how tight it was. So we go to shoot this thing, and it's in this cave, and it's the fight scene between the bad guy and the good guy, and all of this sort of stuff. And they had all this special effects and pyrotechnics and everything all set up, and the whole thing, and they took hours and hours and hours and hours to put little pieces of toilet paper glued onto the bad guy, because it looks like he and then painted so it looked like he had been burned, all his skin's peeling. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just a
yeah.
little Hollywood secret, but it took forever. We get in there, we shoot one or two little things. The sun is about to rise, because they've waited so freaking long. And I'm thinking to myself, see, all of a sudden we're about to do the scene. We go and we rehearse the scene. We've rehearsed it, and then all of a sudden, all the pyrotechnics goes off, and
No.
everybody's standing around going, "What? What's happening?" And the director is losing his mind, because the guy thought somebody said action, and he set off all the pyrotechnics, and that was the end. And we shot it in L.A. And I said, I told you, I knew this was gonna. That's how screwed up this movie was. And there was only a few movies that I did that I can honestly say that I don't know what they were thinking. I just don't know what they were thinking. But hey, I just try to do my job now. I just,
Right? Exactly. It's all you could do.
there you go. That's the movie
And
business. It's fun. It's crazy.
I I guess like the last thing I'll ask you is like where could fans follow you at, and is there anything coming up for you that you would like to plug?
Well, fans can follow me mostly on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, but I keep getting hacked all the time, and so
Mm.
I never go on Facebook. It's very rare, but I do go on Instagram, and I do post things on Instagram. But I think they just made it really tough recently with all this authentication stuff,
Oh, I know.
and it's kind of, like that. But Instagram, I'm the one with the blue check. Anybody else, Chris? There's about 1,000 of them. None of them are me. Okay, the one with the blue check is me. That's the one you gotta make sure you know. So, and then if there is another one out there with a blue check, it's not the one that's me. You'll know that it's me because it's got all of my good pictures. Anyway, so Instagram's the number one place you can follow me. Um, and then I do have as I said, the Dallas experience coming up.
Hmm.
I am working on a potential TV series out of Australia, and like I said, I've got two other films, another film for Australia that I'm in the middle of talks with now. I'm close to possibly getting that up, and I'm really excited about that one because it combines both baseball and cricket,
Oh,
and
wow.
the two of them. There's a 3.5. This is demographics again. 3.5 billion fan base for baseball and cricket combined. So that's this marketing company estimated 225 million in the box office. So it has that kind of potential to it. So that's what I'm working on. And it's a great family film. And it's kind of a Crocodile Dundee in reverse. So anyway, I'm working on that. And then a TV series in Australia. And then there is one other project that I have in the works. So right now, no, I'm waiting to hear about a show as an actor, and I've got these other shows, like I said, as a producer, director, writer, whatever, that I'm hoping to find these angel investors or these companies that will, or individuals. All it takes is one. Like I said, I was close with a horror film, and it's a different
Yeah.
film. It's not a normal creature feature type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's more of a psychological. Uh, psychological thriller type of movie. But we'll see. We'll see. It'll happen. You got to have faith in life. You
It's
got to have
definitely
faith.
gonna happen. It's definitely gonna
You got to
happen.
have faith. And then we'll do another interview and I'll give you all the scoop.
Okay, that sounds perfect. I love it.
You come on the set. You can have some special come on the set.
Oh, okay. Oh my
That's
God,
fun.
yeah. 1,000% yes.
Well, Connecticut's got some good. It's got some good incentives. So who knows? Might be able to get something up here. Just got to find the right people.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was very nice meeting you.
You too, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this. Like, you're really awesome. It was very nice talking to you.
Yeah, it was great talking to you too, and thank you so much for asking me to do this. And like I said before, I'm sorry about everything that was.
Thank you.
I kind of took off the volley on you, and I went, "Oops, sorry, my bad." But yeah, no, I'm glad we did this. This is great, and keep in touch. All right,
I definitely will. Thank you.
all right, buddy. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, bye.